But which coach that left do you think is going to hurt the Lions the most? Is it Terrell Williams? I think there's a chance because the defensive line, I do like what Rodgers brings to the table from all involved. I think that the coach that left, clearly Ben Johnson, John Morton is a nice replacement. Calvin Shepard is an Aaron Glenn, somebody that was mentored by a coach here. So there's going to be some stability. I think Terrell Williams leaving with the caliber and the attachment that the players had. You saw Aiden Hutchinson quickly get up to, nearly double-digit sacks within a handful of games. I think finished with 7.5, a lot of pressures, and was a force. So it's going to be a tall task, in my opinion, to replace Terrell Williams. Which coach that left? I know Antoine Randall had a lot of impact with the receivers. That receiving core was great. We haven't yet to see who's going to replace him. Odds-on favorite is Seth Ryan. Still no replacement for the tight ends coach. I do think that the tight ends, great blocking, but not to the degree in which you'd say, hey, Laporta didn't have his best year, and I think you could have got more out of him. So I think that the coach that left with the biggest impact that will potentially, you got to wait and see and explore how that looks moving forward to see how Kesey Rodgers handles the defensive line, which has constantly been in flux. I think that Coach Terrell Williams leaving for the Patriots is going to be a big hit for the Lions.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Antoine Randall in terms of assistant coaches who are going to leave a huge impact. And the reason I say Antoine Randall is we've seen the kind of camera shots of him getting into Jameson Williams and really letting him have it for mistakes. But at the same time, you also see the clips of when Jameson Williams scores the long touchdown against the Bears. Antoine Randall is the first guy to greet him and celebrate with him. And I think that's the hallmark of a good coach, where he's tough on the standard with the player. And with Jameson Williams, the standard is the standard. And regardless of how good or talented you are, like, this is still our standard. But at the same time, you can see he genuinely cares about the players. And I think that's been a staple of everybody that's been on the Lions staff. But I think when you look at the impact Antoine Randall has had with Amon-Ra St. Brown now being a multiple-time first-team All-Pro, Jameson Williams finding his footing and becoming a 1,000-yard receiver for the first time in his career in his third NFL season. Tim Patrick had a pretty solid year as the wide receiver 3, stepped in, fit like a glove with what the Lions were trying to do. And then you go a little bit further down the depth chart with Khalif Raymond and what he's been able to contribute as a receiver in addition to being one of the league's best punt returners. And I think Antoine Randall, not just as a coach, but as a person and an individual, you could see the relationship he had with the guys in his position room. And I think that regardless of X's and O's and schematics and what you can bring to the room from a drill perspective, that relationship you're able to formulate with your players while you're there is always tough to replicate. And now you've got a new coach. I mean, if it's Seth Ryan, he's already been in the building. But if you bring in an outside voice, he's got to take that time to gain the trust of his wide receiver room and things of that nature. So I do think that's going to be a tough loss for the Lions, and one that maybe a little bit overlooked. But also when you take into account the fact that he's going to Chicago to be Ben Johnson's assistant head coach, I think that also tells a little bit of the story as far as how he was valued within the Lions organization. So that's a tough one to lose for sure, as are all the guys in their own unique ways. And, obviously another one I'll mention real quick is Tanner Engstrand. Losing him, he's considered one of the brighter young minds on the coaching staff, and he's headed to New York to be the offensive coordinator. And I think a fun little storyline that we're going to get throughout the next season is Terrell Williams runs the Patriots defense. Tanner Engstrand runs the Jets offense. So twice a year, 2 former Lions are going to be matching wits and going at it. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun.